Good naming conventions help you stay organized, track your performance easier, and save you time when you need to optimize your campaigns or report on results. So, if your LinkedIn campaigns are pretty messy and if you struggle to keep track of which campaign is which, you came to the right place. In this video, I'll walk you through my LinkedIn campaign naming conventions, and I'll show you how to create consistent, clear, and scalable names for your campaigns. Of course, you can apply the same principles to your Google and Meta campaigns. Before we move on, just a quick definition to make sure we are on the same page. A naming convention is a standardized way of naming your campaigns so that you can easily identify them at a glance. Without a clear structure, it's easy to end up with confusing names, and it will be harder for you to remember what each campaign is doing. If you manage more campaigns for multiple accounts, standardizing names will allow for easy filtering and also will make it easier to analyze your campaign performance. Alright, enough with the intro. If you're new to my channel, I want to wish you a warm welcome and I hope you'll find this video useful. I'm Andrea and I do growth marketing for SaaS companies. If you have questions, feel free to post them under the video and I will do my best to reply as soon as possible. Alright, let's get into the campaign naming. The easiest way to maintain consistency is to have a predefined structure for your campaign names, meaning a series of elements that you will include in each campaign name. I will show you my naming convention. Of course, you can adjust this to fit your own needs. My campaign names always start with a title that shows me what the campaign is about. For example, it could be a product launch, a white paper promo, or customer testimonials. Next, I add the funnel stage, because I want to know if I'm targeting the top, middle, or bottom of the funnel. This will, of course, influence the campaign goal. For top of the funnel campaigns, I mainly want people to see my ads. For middle of the funnel, I want to convince them that my product is the best. So I want to get them to the website and get them reading or watching more content. Finally, the bottom of the funnel campaigns aim to convert visitors into users of the product. So there, the objective is conversions. Which brings us to the next element in the campaign name, the campaign objective or goal. Here you can go with something like attract, convince, convert, and so on, or with LinkedIn-specific objectives, like brand awareness, lead generation, website traffic, and so on. Then we have the ad type, which can be an image ad, a video ad, a carousel, a document, and so on. Next is the media type, where I define what the users see, so the assets that I'm using. This could be a video, a white paper, a landing page if I'm sending them to the website on a specific page, a customer case, and so on. Next in the campaign name comes the product pillar, if applicable. For example, you might have a product that serves different audiences and has different use cases. In this case, it might make sense to separate the use cases or the pillars and to create dedicated campaigns for each audience and pillar respectively. The next element in the campaign name is the target audience. And here you can use the industry, the vertical, or the persona, whatever makes more sense for you. Finally, I like to include the company size and the region of my target audience. Now, this structure might seem a little complicated, especially if you want to manually create all these namings every time you set up a new campaigns. There is, of course, a shortcut for this. I like to use a spreadsheet where I have all my variables predefined, so it only takes me a few seconds to create a new campaign name. I will walk you through the spreadsheet in a bit, but before that, I want to mention a couple of mistakes to avoid. The first and most obvious one is to not overcomplicate your campaign names. It might be tempting to add a lot of details, especially in the campaign title, but really simpler is better. For example, if you're promoting a white paper, it's enough to say white paper and then one or two keywords that help you identify the respective white paper. Another mistake to avoid is inconsistent formatting, and this refers mostly to the use of dashes, underscores, capitalization across all your campaigns. And finally, skipping important information. If you do things manually and you create your names from scratch, it might happen that you leave out key information like the objective or the audience, and that will make it really hard to identify your campaigns later on. As for best practices, like I already mentioned, it's easier to stay organized if you have a document with all your naming structure and if you share it with everyone in your team. Another recommendation is to always run a few tests with the names to see if they make sense, and then revisit them later. It's good to stay flexible and tweak your names as your campaigns evolve. Alright, now let's look at the spreadsheet that I use for naming my LinkedIn campaigns. I will link this document at the bottom of the video so you can access it easily. As you can see, I have 3 tabs, one for campaign groups, the next one for the URL builder, and the next one, the last one, for variables. I'm gonna start with the campaign groups, because this is the first level in LinkedIn campaigns as well. If you're not familiar with the structure of LinkedIn campaigns or with the hierarchy inside the campaign manager, I created another video where I explain this concept, so make sure to watch it as well. The first thing to notice here is that I split my campaigns into cold and retargeting, and that they are always on campaigns, meaning that I keep running these ads until they stop performing. When performance decreases, what changes is the campaigns in column C, but not the group names. I might change the group names if I decide to change my strategy, and therefore I need to restructure my campaigns, but in general, I like to use this setup. For the cold campaigns, I split them between image and video layers, and then thought leadership image and thought leadership video layer, and I also run a layer for white paper promotion. The white paper layer also includes checklists, reports, everything that's a downloadable document. As for the retargeting layer, you see that they are also structured into image layer, video layer, and form layer. Now, each group includes specific campaigns. So, for example, the retargeting image layer has a campaign for case studies, another one for testimonials, and another one for product push. The retargeting form layer also includes a campaign for a product push, but the difference is that the image one only has an image ad that sends users to the website, and the lead form one uses a native LinkedIn form. The thought leadership layers will promote images and videos from the thought leaders in your company, usually C-suite, but also leaders from marketing, sales, and other roles based on your audience. The cold image layer can include campaigns that talk about pain points, benefits, campaigns that promote blog content, and so on. As for the cold video layer, you can include their product videos, event videos, and so on. Generally, the campaign objectives in the cold layers will be to either attract or convince users, so get them to the website or get them consuming your content, and the retargeting layer will aim to either convince or convert them. Alright, this is the high-level structure. Now let's look at the URL builder and the variables I'm using. As you can see at the top, I have the naming convention, an example campaign name, and an example of a final UTM, just to make sure I can quickly check my campaign names before adding them to LinkedIn. Next, we have the actual URL builder part. Here, you always start with a web page that the campaign directs to. Generally, this will be your website, but you might also want to direct people to your product application. Next, we have the campaign topic or title, which shows what the campaign is about. And I added here some examples just to guide your thinking. Then we have the traffic source. As you can see, it's mostly LinkedIn because these are LinkedIn campaigns, but I added also a referral campaign, a partner newsletter. So you can see how to create campaign names for different traffic sources. Next, we have the traffic type, which can be paid social, organic social, syndication, and so on. You will see all the possibilities when I show you the variables tab. Then we continue with the media type, the campaign stage, the goal, ad type, the product pillar, audience, company size, and then you finally see here the campaign name. This campaign name is created automatically for you. So once you select all the variables, you will get here the campaign name. And you can copy and paste it directly to your LinkedIn campaign. With LinkedIn, you don't have to copy this UTM in the campaign because it uses UTM conventions that apply to the full account. So what you will do instead is use this structure, or if you prefer, you can move the campaign name at the beginning like I did here. But in principle, you can use this type of structure at account level so that you don't have to repeatedly create this UTM for every campaign. I will show you in a bit how to create a campaign in LinkedIn, and then I will refer back to this campaign name to see it in practice. Alright, the last part here is the variables. I've already added some examples for you, but of course you can change them to whatever makes more sense. You can see that the UTM source can be a variety of channels. Then the medium can be anything from paid social, organic social, paid search, to events, and so on. The media type, as I said, is the asset or the type of document that you use for that specific campaign. Then we have the stage, and here CST stands for customer advocacy, if you also run such campaigns. Then the goal of the campaign, the product pillar, the audience, and of course these are fictive audiences. You can replace them with whatever audiences you are targeting. The company size, I generally use numbers, so small would be something from 11 to, and then we would have 201 to 500, and then large would be 501 to 5000, or so on. And then all includes all these company sizes. Then the ad type, as I already showed before, we can have image, video, carousel, text, document, messaging, and so on. Now I'm gonna switch to LinkedIn and show you how I use these naming conventions to create a new campaign. You can now see that I am in my LinkedIn campaign manager, and I am working on an always-on cold demand generation campaign that uses images as the asset type. As you can see here, the campaign name is School of Content because I'm promoting the brand. It's a top of funnel campaign. Objective is awareness. I'm using images, sending people to the landing page on the website. I'm targeting content strategists, and I'm targeting all regions and large companies. I will click edit because I want to show you the URL parameters, what I explained a bit earlier. So inside each campaign, you will see this section for URL tracking parameters. And you see that you have account tracking parameters and campaign tracking parameters. You can opt to do your tracking and your naming at campaign level, but I generally prefer to work with account level parameters just because it makes things a lot easier. So in this case, I don't need the account ID because I only manage one account here. But if you do manage multiple accounts, you can use the account ID. And what I'm gonna do is go back to my naming conventions doc, to the URL builder, and take this campaign name and then copy paste it here. Remove the unnecessary spaces. And now I don't need to do the campaign naming at campaign level because LinkedIn will automatically add these parameters to every campaign, and it will always include here the campaign name itself. So I can save and continue setting up this campaign. All right, that's pretty much it. Now you should know enough to be able to set up proper campaigns with clear and organized naming. If you found this video useful, please like it and subscribe to my channel for more growth marketing tips. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.